Welcome to Season 3 of the Changing Earth podcast with Sara F. Hathaway, blending survival fiction and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sara F. Hathaway.
Here to talk to us today about what rifle he would choose on the way out the door is Ben Branam. Ben has loved shooting since the first time he pulled a trigger at age 8. During high school, he volunteered at his local PD where he learned more about handguns. He joined the Marine Corps infantry after high school. He was a reserve for 10 years with 2 years of active duty and 1 tour in Iraq in 2003. He worked for an armored car company for almost 7 years, mostly in the LA area of California. During all that, he also got a degree in law enforcement and went through 2 different police academies. Being a cop never worked out, but through it all, he's always been training people to fight. He spent all of 2008 in Iraq, again as a private contractor defending a base. There, he got to teach and train with the U.S. Army and others. Now, he wants to bring that experience and his joy to teaching others into firearms. So he loves teaching firearms, and he wants all the good people of the world to be able to defend themselves. His main purpose in life is teaching firearms to individuals, and I've heard his classes are spectacular from really good resources, so you got to check that out. You can find out more about his classes at www.modernselfprotection.com. That's www.modernselfprotection.com. So let's go ahead and welcome Ben to the show. Thank you so much, Ben, for joining me today. I really appreciate your time.
Well, thanks. I'm glad to be here and talk to everybody. Hi, everybody.
It's awesome to have you back on the show. Like I mentioned pre-show, I've been listening to your podcast. Some great dry fire exercises out there. If you have not listened to Ben's podcast yet, you've got to get over there. Ben, remind me of the name of it because I always get it confused with another one that I listen to.
It's called Modern Self-Protection at modernselfprotection.com. Super easy one.
Super easy. So get on over there and listen to that podcast. Some great shooting exercises that'll get you, a little bit more accurate. And you beat up on yourself a little bit on there, I noticed. So it keeps us all kind of in check on our own, I'm awesome, So that really, the fact that you humble yourself humbles the rest of us, I think.
Cool. Yeah, nobody's perfect. We're always working on something. And if you're not working on something, yeah, you need help.
Yeah, you're not going anywhere then. So, Ben, in this chapter, Erica and her family, they had this medical problem with one of their sons. He's getting healthy, but they're having a big problem. And they have these plans to evade this major Burgess who is chasing them across the countryside, trying to hunt them down. And they're given access to a cabinet of weaponry. So they're given access to this cabinet where they can pick whatever weapon they want basically to take with them for the long haul. And they're discussing what the best rifle to take is. So I thought this topic was right in your wheelhouse. And I want to know, if you were given access to this cabinet, what 3 rifles would you pick for you to carry in a long-term survival situation so you don't know when you'll be able to, exchange this rifle, do anything with it? What 3 would you pick?
Probably just 3 different ARs, depending on what's going on in the rest of the world. If I have to walk, if I'm vehicle bound, there's so many factors in there. But for me, and this is personal, 3 ARs as long as I can get different ammunition. Because with different ammunition, I can do different things in the AR platform, from hunt deer with a little heavier bullet, make things happen, do long-range stuff with heavier bullets, and then lighter bullets as normal self-defense stuff works pretty good. The heavier stuff will double, but if I can get the right ammo, an AR every time for me, and I would get multiples of them, because if one breaks, I've always got parts for them all over the place, and they're all the same. And then last, it's a personal decision for me because it's the weapon I'm best trained at. It's the one I know intimately inside and out. I could rip one apart, put it back together. I could flip all the parts from one place to the other. I need minimal tools to do it, and I can take it all the way down, and I understand if something's wrong, how to fix it. So it's kind of almost like that's pretty simple, huh? Just 3 ARs and do everything.
Yeah.
And for me,
remind me again of the 2 types of ammo that the ARs carry. There's the military one, and then the more of the civilian type load. What are those 2 again?
Well, the basic 2 are the 55 grain, which is kind of the old school military Vietnam era, and that's what civilians normally use because it's cheaper, it's light, it shoots real well, super flat. And then the 62 grain is the armor piercing or armor penetrating, technically. It has a little steel core in the front of it, and that's the mil surplus that you'll find everywhere right now. The military's starting to change over ammo to different things, and it's funny, the Marine Corps and the Army are having a big discussion and a fight over which ammo they should be using. Both of them are using different types right now, and Congress even came in and said, no, you shall use the same one, and both the Marine Corps and the Army said, no, we're going to do our own thing. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. But that ammo's getting a little better. For all you guys out there, the 62 grain, I always joke that guy should be, the guy that designed that round should be lined up and shot with something that actually works. So the 62 has very, very small applications. It was designed to fight a war against the Russians. The armor penetrating is designed to defeat a Russian helmet at 600 yards. That was the purpose behind that round. How many of us are going to fight a helmeted man at 600 yards? It doesn't
right.
It doesn't really do anything else well besides really, I guess, hunting. You kill hogs with it because they have real tough hide to get through. And I found that works pretty well here on the 200-pound hogs, 150-pound hogs down here in Texas. They make a nice kill. But other than that, it's almost a specialty round now, and I hated it when I had to carry it in the military. I would carry anything else when I became a contractor. I had a choice. I carried 55 grain stuff over that. So those are the 2 basics that everybody thinks about. And for me, stick to the 55 grain stuff. If you're doing anti-personnel stuff, you'll be happier than the 62 grain that just not helping you.
Okay. So what about, personally, I know that it's a very light load, but I like my Ruger 1022. I mean, I grew up shooting the 22s. I know 22, I can hit my mark like you wouldn't believe with a 1022. And so I know you'll come back with that's a small grain and you have to hit, but some pros and cons there.
There's incredible pros and cons. If we go full on battle, the 1022 is the 22 long rifle is almost useless unless you're suppressing it. If you're doing true survival where you got to live off the land, the 22 is not a bad round to have. A 1022 is super accurate, super lightweight. You can carry a ton of ammo with you. It's super light, and you could. I know people get mad, but you can take an 80 or 90 pound deer with it if you do headshots, and anything smaller. Right. You could take for game. I mean, everybody's like, oh, yeah, I'll just shoot a squirrel and live off, or shoot a deer and live off of that. Well, squirrels are really plentiful. And a deer, when you're surviving out in the wilderness, that's, 40 pounds of meat that you got to do something with right there. If you don't have a way to process it, right, that becomes very difficult. Whereas if you take your little 22 and you shoot a squirrel, that's a meal for one. And you don't have anything left over, really. And you just go for the next one later. So there's always, you asked me which one I would take. If you want to talk about like yourself and everybody else, which one should they take? Well, it's going to vary from person to person a lot. And I would start with the rifle that you're the most comfortable with and the best. So for you, that 1022 inside and out. If you don't know any other gun, like let's say I'll throw something stupid out there, like an M249 squad automatic weapon. Most people don't have a lot of experience with that. So if you had a choice between a 1022 or this squad automatic weapon to defend yourself, even in grid down, super duper, they're trying to attack us scenario, I mean, like your books, for you, the squad automatic would be a stupid decision because you'd have to learn and train, and it's hard to train on the go when you're actually fighting. You either learn things the hard way or you die, and that's not a cool thing to train with. For you, the 1022 a great choice. Just take that out of the cabinet and go because you know how to use it. You can take a ton of ammo. Everything has its ups and downs. The squad automatic, if you know what a saw is, they're heavy, they're bulky, they take a lot of maintenance and a lot of care, but they're a great weapon if you know how to use them and employ them. So I'm trying to say it's going to be a personal decision, almost like your vehicle. And I would start with the weapon system that you understand the best. And I say weapon system because that includes the rifle, your magazines, how you're going to carry the gun, like a sling, ammo, everything that goes around there is part of that weapon system, and maintaining that weapon is part of that system. So you got to know, when you know that weapon system, that's the one you should go for. And other guys would know an AK platform better than I do. I know the AR platform better,
right.
So that's what I would go for. Some old guys that I know around here in Texas, they run bolt guns. One of my buddies, he's a hunter, and he can run a bolt gun like guys I haven't seen before. I give him my AR, and he's trying to figure out which end to point at the bad guy. So for him, I would go with his bolt gun and let him have his bolt gun because he knows it, he can use it, and that's what he can defend himself with the best. He knows the ups and downs of that rifle and that system. So for anybody out there that's thinking that you're in this scenario where you come through this cool cabinet of rifles, or more likely you look into your cabinet of rifles and you go, what am I going to take? Look in there and look for that weapon system you know the best. That's the one that you have the best chance of keeping running, to keep in the fight, to actually being most effective with in the fight. And that's all that's really going to matter if somebody's trying to take your life, is how effective are you with that weapon system. Doesn't matter that it's a squad automatic saw that can put 800 to 1,000 rounds a minute down range, and it's one of the greatest weapons I think ever been invented. If you can't figure out how to load it and shoot it, it's just not going to help you at all.
Right now you have a club.
And that's a good club because that's the other half of that thing. That thing weighs about 18 pounds without ammo, and it chews through ammo fast. So there's all these things to know about your weapon system. So that for you, that 1022 might be a great decision. And the chapter of your book, I'm remembering they're trying to escape from the bad guys pretty much, and they have to tow somebody that needs medical attention. So that's a hard one. Weight is going to become a huge factor. And at least with the 5.56, you get a little lighter ammo. The rifles aren't too bad. I'll be looking for the lightweight AR. Everybody wants to put as much stuff on their AR rifle as possible. It turns your 7-pound lightweight carbine into a 9 or 10-pound rifle, and that makes a big difference after a couple miles. So
yeah, I've shot the AR before, and I was just like blown away because it was almost like it was a toy gun or something. It was so light and just really, really smooth. And I was like, God, is this thing like really is this like a real gun? This seems like it's like a BB gun or something. So yeah, well, you start weighting it down with all the gear, and you kind of lost the function of it there.
Yeah, you lost what the rifle was intended to, and on your function too. The rifle's a great platform. So if I bulk it up with a big optic, night vision, bipod, sling to be able to shoot it with, big heavy barrel and stuff, I have one of those rifles, and it's awesome. But with optic and bipod and everything, mine's probably 11-pound rifle with a 24-inch barrel. But it gives me a lot longer reach, and I can do more stuff with it at long distance. But to carry.
Well, that was going to be my next question. If you were assigned like the sniper role, is your AR still going to be your gun of choice, or are you gonna pick something else?
Right now, I'd step into a 308 AR system, so an AR-10. And again, that's the system I understand the best with the round that I understand the best right now. I want to get into a 6.5 Creedmoor because the terminal ballistics are about the same, but the long-range shooting is so much better right now. But I don't understand the drops on a 6.5. I do understand the drops and the wind drift on a 308. So I can be way more effective longer distance.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know what I'm talking about...
Yeah, and that's also... No. You go ahead and explain it, because I get what you're talking about because I shoot a bow. So it's pretty important to know, but... a lot of the listeners might. So go ahead and explain that. So
drop and wind drift. Drop is the bullet is going to, as soon as it exits the barrel, gravity takes effect and it starts falling towards the earth. The faster I shoot it, the faster the round goes, and the more it holds its speed, the longer it will stay in flight pretty much, because everything drops at exactly whatever it is, 9.8 meters per second squared when you take air out of the equation. So literally, if you fired your gun level to the earth and dropped a bullet at the same second, that bullet and the bullet you dropped and the bullet you fired would hit the ground at exactly the same moment. So speed becomes a very big issue on the drop. but we can fake the drop with all the drop tables and stuff. I know exactly by running the math how far it's going to drop at 500 yards. And then I can know exactly at 550 and exactly at 599 or 598. I can do the math and figure that out. The wind drift is a little bit harder. Wind drift is pretty much how far any gust of wind or the breeze is going to blow your bullet to the left or right of your target. And that one, the wind is never steady, right? If you go from 5 feet, it changes. So we start calling that in the shooting world a swag, a scientific wild-ass guess. And you just kind of lick your finger and make it up, and it becomes just experience, playing with the wind, shooting under different wind conditions, going back and forth, reading books about it to try to get more experience, because it's expensive to sit there with even 308 match ammo, which is probably some of the cheapest ammo out there, to learn your wind drifts. And anything over 300 yards, the wind is going to start taking a big effect on that bullet. And you get to 500 or 600 yards, and you could a 5 mile an hour wind could blow that thing feet off target. And so you have to be able to correct for that, and you have to be able to guess. So when it comes to long range shooting, even more than drop is going to be that wind drift, and that's where the 6.8 starts to, or not 6.8, I'm sorry, the 6.5 Creedmoor really shines above the 308 right there is the wind drift. But like I said, I don't know enough about it, so the 308 would be more my style. And to tell you the truth, if we're going to stay, if it's outside in the country where I need those long distances, the 308 would be awesome. If we're going to be in the city where the distances are going to be shorter, I'd still take my 5.56 because I understand the drop and the wind drift on my 5.56 rifle a lot more than I do my 308 rifle. So everything is situation dependent, and every person is different, and all that to say, I don't know which rifle you should pick.
Yeah, all that information to go. You need to pick which one you're most comfortable with and you know how to use.
And I hope it comes down to that, and I hope that all the listeners out there are kind of going, oh, wow, that's a lot to think about. That's a lot more to think about than just you pull the ballistic charts on something and you go, well, the 30-06 has a little bit more energy downrange than the 308, so I should get a 30-06. It sounds awesome, but once you get out of paper realm and into the real world, 100 feet per second, it's not going to matter that much in the wind drift. So you got to get out there and play with it. So when we think about these scenarios, I listen to them all the time because you're not the only person that asked this question, and I hear us debating it endlessly in the firearms world. What rifle would be the best rifle if, or that, or when, or any of that stuff. And everybody hates me because I give the same answer. Well, it all depends. It's situational. Situation dictates, or in the Marine Corps we used to say, terrain dictates everything. You have your guidelines, but then the terrain is going to dictate. Me, the 5.56 versus the 308 round. That's going to dictate by the terrain I'm going to be in. So it's kind of, and then situation is you. What can you do with any given rifle? Because let's face it, I can find one of the best rifles in the world. We talk about the 50 Barrett M82A1, the one the military's using as their Sasser, their big sniper rifle for the 50 cal. That's an awesome platform, and it can do incredible things. Just things that aren't supposed to be done by guns. It's just, I got to shoot them a couple times, but then it's just, if you don't know the system, you're trying to fake the funk. I went out and taught a class, and the guys said, hey, we got our 50 there. You want to play with it? We put this giant pumpkin about the size of a man's chest out at 1,000 yards even, and then we pulled ammo out, and we're like, I wonder if we can hit this pumpkin at 1,000 yards with this 50 caliber and see what happens. Well, we're looking at it going, this is going to be awesome. And then we're like, what do you think the drop is at 1,000 yards? And we're trying to find charts and tables and figure out where the rifle was zeroed with which ammo to try to figure out if we could hit or not. And incredibly, I made the fourth round, I hit that thing with a good spotter and a couple guys that really knew what they were doing. I was almost the monkey behind the trigger, just pulling the trigger. They helped me with the drift and the drop.
And they're telling you what to do.
Right. So we hit it fourth round, and I was like, I say we because they're the ones that helped me on the drop and the drift, and we got it in there. But if you're out there, and this was a true self-defense scenario, and it takes me 4 rounds, and that's not just going bang, 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 bang. That's bang. Okay, where did it hit? Up, left.
Yeah, recheck.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Recalculate.
Let's calculate. Let's wait for the same wind conditions, and let's try this again. And we were lucky on that one because we had a slight wind from 12 o'clock blowing right down the range. So it made it real easy. If I had a crosswind, it would have been way harder, and I probably wouldn't have done it in 4 rounds. So even if I gave you that awesome rifle and said, okay, you're the designated sniper, and you're laying out there to cover everybody as they're moving, can you do it? Can you make a hit at 1,000? Most of us can't, unless you've, I say most of us, because unless you've done it and you're doing it on a normal basis, that's an incredibly lucky shot, and I feel incredibly lucky.
And by the time you fire by the time you fire the second shot, they're already flanking you because they know where you're at. So if it takes 4, that's way too long.
Yeah, and it's hard to hide that big report of that 50. There's no question. So even even in the canyons, when you think it's going to echo, that thing kind of leaves a signature. It's pretty cool though. But
yeah, I bet
it's a lot of fun to shoot. It's a lot of fun to do that stuff. It's a lot of fun to talk about this stuff. But even if I was the designated sniper because I had the most skill or experience at long range, and that was in the cabinet, would I grab that 50? Well, one, I'm a little bit out of shape, so I don't really want to hump that thing. And when I say hump it, I mean Marine Corps style. That means carrying.
Yeah, I hear you.
Not something else. The thing weighs
we're gonna keep it PG here.
that means walk. That thing weighs 33 pounds without the optic, and a box magazine of 10 rounds is like 8 pounds, I think, maybe 7.
Oh no!
And the optic on top. So you're talking the rifle loaded with the optic is probably about 40 pounds, maybe 45, somewhere in there, and you've got to carry it. And then ammo. Yeah.
With your pack too, with all your other gear,
with everything else, and then add ammo to that. And I got news for you: if you ever, I've done this, and I've looked at the ammo lot out, and I'm like, I'm going to combat. How much ammo should I take? And they start putting cases of ammo in front of you, and it becomes, how much ammo can I carry? Not how much can I take. So when you start looking at big guns, 30 rounds is a lot of ammo to be carrying out of a 50. 30 rounds and an AR, that's one magazine, that's about 1 pound. So you go, maybe the 5.56 would be a better in-close battle rifle. And I could take a lot of ammo instead of just like 30 rounds. I could take like 300. So all of this needs to come into effect. And then on that, your physical fitness too. When I was a young Marine, I carried 14 mags into combat with me filled, and a bandolier in my pack and a couple magazines hanging on the outside of my pack. Well, that was great. I was 24 at the time, and I could run 10 miles no problem and carry all that stuff, and no big deal. I'm a little fatter, a little older now, so carrying a battle load of 7 mags would be heavy for me and would wear me out. So I got to start looking at that stuff too, the rifle weight versus how in shape I am. I know you're getting ready for all sorts of cool stuff over there, so you've been killing it in the gym. And so now you could add a magazine or two, which is awesome.
Fair enough. But that's why I always stick with my 1022, because not only do I know it the best, but for as far as carrying ammo, you can carry so much more because it's so small. And it used to be that 22 ammo was available at every hardware store, at every shooting store, outdoor store, Walmart, Target. 22 ammo was everywhere. Just a few years ago. Now I understand it's changed now. But, so I thought availability of ammo when you're on the go would be much higher to find a 22 ammo than it would be to find anything else.
And there's another great terrain feature. Terrain dictates. If I wanted to do that 6.5, how am I going to get a resupply of 6.5 Creedmoor ammo? I mean, right now, with the world all as it is and everything as it should be, and we've got the president that's supposed to help us with guns and everything, that ammo is hard to find, period, right now.
Right.
If it really was the grid down end of the world and we're trying to escape the nasty mobs, where are you going to find a resupply of 6.5 Creedmoor ammo?
So how about for the AR? How abundantly do you think we could find the AR ammo if we needed a resupply?
I would say and I've got a limited reach here because I'm in Texas and I haven't been through cabinets in California and stuff, and my friends here. I'd say 22 is going to be the most. If you're looting somebody's house, and you guys, I hope you understand what I mean by looting. It's the end of the world, and you found a place to stay. So and while you're there, you're taking what you can because, it's survival. Everybody's gone, and you're just trying to survive. The most likely thing you're going to find is probably 22s. The next most likely would be 9mm. After that, it would be 5.56 ammo. And then after that, it would be probably 7.62 by 39 or 30-06 or 308. Start to tie up that fourth spot here in Texas, because everybody's got a 30-06 in the cabinet. But the 5.56, 22, 9mm, 7.62 by 39, that rushing round, those are the ones that people will stack in abundance. Your 30-06 is pretty common. Everybody here in Texas has a 30-06 rifle. I think I'm the only one that doesn't. I'm weird. But they you might be lucky if they're stocking 100 or 150 rounds. Probably more like 140, because they buy boxes of 20. Each year they go hunting and they buy a box of 20 and they shoot 5 or 6 rounds every year. And then next year they buy another box of 20 and then another box of 20. So you'd be lucky if they had 100 rounds in their house when the world ended. Now, if you'd be lucky to find 5 or 10 of them or 20 of them, whatever they left that they couldn't carry.
I have to agree about the AR though, because they've been really popular, because everybody keeps worrying that they're going to make them illegal and take them away. So everybody goes out and buys them in mass quantity, and then you got to buy ammo to stock for it. So there's a good chance that you could find some AR ammo, but it depends on what barrel load you have going on if you find the right one.
Well, on that, I think people worry about it too much. You put anything in there and it'll fire. Your accuracy and longevity of the barrel is what it's going to come down to. So if I take a really high twist rate barrel that's supposed to have a super light bullet, let's say a 1 in 12 rate where you should be firing a 55 grain or below, and I know these are generalities. Don't have anybody call poor Sarah and tell her, hey, he was wrong. You can actually, generally speaking, a 1 in 12 is the faster twist rate, or a slower twist rate, 1 in 12, and it needs to have the lighter bullets. And you can still fake the funk and put some heavier bullets through there, the 1 in 7 or the 77 grains or even the 75 grains. If you put them in there, it's not like the gun is going to blow up. You're just going to lose a lot of accuracy. That thing's going to come out like a football, either going end over end or with a huge wobble instead of being a nice tight little spiral like the bullet is designed. So yes, if I had the choice, I would pick the ammo that would fit that barrel twist and that application. But when it comes to, hey, this is all we got, well, it's better than nothing. I'll fire the stuff that I know works, and I have zeroed for my rifle first, and then after that, I will take the other stuff. It's the same thing for you in that 22. When you start playing with that thing at long ranges, and I say long ranges with a 22 is 100, 150 yards, your zeros way off whether you're throwing a 40 grain or a 35 grain out there. So you get to play with all those problems. Those are all issues and problems most people don't think about, but if you know that weapon system, this is something you might know the difference of. So if I go, I'm shooting a 55 grain bullet, and now I've got 62 grain bullets going in there, that's going to be a little bit heavier, a little bit slower. It's going to hit a little bit lower as we get out there further. So it kind of, if you know your weapon system, now you can start playing with those. So that's why the one you have the knowledge of is always going to be the best. Always. Well, I want to say always, but that's like never say never. Sooner or later, there'll be something that changes. And if you can, pick 2 of those rifles and take them with you, because if one breaks, you got another one. And 3 is for me, because if one breaks, I can cannibalize one to make 2 rifles that still shoot. And I've done that.
Yeah, that was our game plan with it. And what my oldest boy just turned 16, so we got him his own rifle at that point. So now we have a bunch of them, and that would be the game plan, is just grab them all and go.
Cool. And then hopefully one of your next purchases, you can get a 5.56 rifle. Yes.
Well, my husband wants a nice handgun first, so that's the next purchase. I got to get him a nice pistol, and we just have to find, whatever he feels comfortable. We've been going back between the 45 and the 9mm, and just haven't really centered down on anything for him yet. So that's the next purchase. And then it'll be back to rifles. And yeah, I definitely need something that goes a little bit longer range. And so that's why I've been kind of picking everybody's brain on this question. Like, what do you think the best long range? And honestly, I get the AR back like all the time, just because it's so versatile.
You can do anything with that AR platform. So the same weekend I'm out there with that 50 playing on this guy's long range, just for fun, I pulled out to me it's an intermediate level rifle, because I've got a 2x9 scope mounted on it. It's a scout scope forward. It's designed for those intermediate distances. And I really enjoy that rifle and that setup. That's why I did it. But I pulled that rifle out and I started playing with it, and I pushed it out to 500 yards, no problem. Dropped right in there, a little bit of wind drift, and I'm in. And then I pushed it. The farthest target I could hit consistently was 650 yards with that, and that's with a 55 grain PMC X-Tac bullet that is straight out of the bulk aisle at Walmart, pretty much. I ordered them on
Right.
9,000, and that round I could hit at 650. Once I got the wind on, I could hit 50% of the time a man-sized steel target out there at 650 yards, which is just incredible. The guns are not supposed to be able to do that. Guns
incredible.
are so good nowadays, and I'd like to say, oh, I'm that good a shooter. No, the rifle is that good now. The military says that round's good out to 550 yards. And you'll see that the Marines all do it out to 500 yards without a problem. So you can make 500 yards with a 5.56 without that problem. It just doesn't have a lot of energy once it gets down there. So that's something to think about at the end of the world. But don't think for a second.
Yeah, what do they have on? Is it going to bounce off of them?
Well, it doesn't so much. Well, I'm thinking, I don't know what point the bullet's going to bounce because there's not enough penetration, but there's just not enough oomph to do any damage in the body. You'll get some penetration, and you get shallow 2 or 3 inches, 4 inches of penetration. The bullet's just not going to do anything. So it'll be like shooting somebody with a 22 at 50 yards. Eventually, it'll kill them, but it's just not very efficient at
it's going to be a slow process.
There you go.
Right.
And I say that badly.
So how is the AR going to hold up when you have it out like in extreme weather? So now you're in a bug out situation. You know, we're tromping. We don't have any we're just constructing our own shelters and stuff. How is the weapon going to hold up there?
Well, we'll go back to training and stuff. If you know your weapon system, you should know how to maintain it. And I'll give you guys stuff from the military. Your equipment comes before you do in your maintenance cycle. So when I bedded down somewhere in the military for the night, the first thing I did was look at my rifle and do any maintenance I needed on my rifle. I checked my gear, make sure it was good. So it goes your weapon, your gear, and then you take care of you. Then you get food, then you get shelter, then you get your water going. First thing you do is take care of that weapon because it'll take care of you. And then your other gear will take care of you. So you got to get that in your mindset, especially when you get hungry and tired. You know, if you're traipsing all over the wilderness just trying to evade people, first thing you want to do is start a fire, build a little shelter, get warm, get dry, get comfortable, and just once you do that, it becomes the heck with the rest of the world, and that's not good. So you got to take care of it.
Now I'm going to sleep and okay.
Yeah, so that rifle's got to come first.
So, and as far as maintaining the longevity of it, you just pretty much answered it. Just take care of it first thing, make sure it's clean, make sure it's ready to go. Is there any special things that we should pack in our gear for weapons maintenance?
A cleaning kit. Everybody forgets one. When everybody I talk to, even in this world, we talk about, well, which rifle would you get? You know, you do the 3 rifles, or we do the handgun, rifle, shotgun. Which one would you take with you? And rarely talks about the ammo, and then we never talk about a cleaning kit. A simple cleaning kit. The military ones are dumb simple, and you can get them anywhere with just a bottle of CLP break free, and that stuff will last you forever. It's light, it's small. If you have an old school M16, they even go in the buttstock, but it comes in that green pack now that has one Alice clip that you can clip anywhere to anything. That's something you should have readily available with you. When you grab your weapon, you need to grab something to maintain it, and that's just easy. So super easy. Ben's super easy maintenance things for a weapon. What you'd find out on the range with me. I have a rod for a punch. So I need I use the military rods that you screw together to make them one long rod for a cleaning rod.
Yep.
You really need that as a bore punch. If something happens to a round in there, it breaks off, or the extractor breaks, or something. Most of the time it's a round failure, especially in the 5.56, but it does happen.
Oh, that makes sense.
You do get case separation in 308 and other things where the only way to get it out of there is really to put something down the barrel and drive it out. So having that rod is an always. The military all went to these high-speed, low-drag with those cables that you pull through and everything. Yeah, you wouldn't catch me with one of them. I always had my old school 3 rods screwed together so I can knock out something if you get a barrel obstruction. Let's say, something stupid, you're trapsing along through the snow, the dirt, the mud, and you slip and you fall and you slide down a hill. You're okay, but you look at your rifle. Is your rifle okay? and you open it and you look down the barrel from the action side, of course, and you see mud or something in there. How do you get it out? You have a barrel obstruction. You really need to be able to pop that out. So that rod would allow you to knock out a piece of dirt or mud that's in there. So the rod is number one. Second thing you're going to need is a rag. Just I use old T-shirts. So you can get this anywhere, but a little square cloth, a rag, and I'll hold up my hands. You can see about this big, but really, if it's 4 inches by 4 inches or 6 inches by 6 inches, that is plenty for you to work on for a long time before that rag becomes too soiled for you to use. And then you can always just wash the stupid thing, right? I mean, a creek, whatever, wash it like you'd wash your clothes. But a little rag like that, T-shirts are super light. They make all these super duper high speed, low drag. Forget about it. Just a piece of T-shirt. Find an old T-shirt, cut it up, and you are set. That's what I do with my old T-shirts. They become gun rags. They're everywhere.
Yep.
And
me too.
That's just to wipe everything down. And the third thing is a brush, right? And we called them an AP brush in the military, all-purpose brush, but an old toothbrush would work. The ones that are designed for the guns are a little bit stiffer, bristled, and that's where you can clean gunk out, brush the dirt off, and just keep the action moving with the brush. It makes it so much easier to get all that dirt and sand and everything out of your action that, yes, you think it's not going to be there, but anybody that's hunted and been out for a couple days at a time and pulls their rifle apart, your rifle gets way dirtier from you just carrying it than by actually shooting it. So you got to keep that thing clean, and the brush will just help you. The last thing you absolutely have to have is a little bit of CLP. And I say CLP, that's the stuff we use in the military. It's cleaner lubricant preservative. You want an all-in-one cleaner solution like that. And there's 1,000 companies on the market. They make them right now. Just off the top, Break Free is the one I still use because it works great. Frog Lube, Slip 2000, Hoppies makes one now. But anything that's that CLP will work just fine. The military still uses the Break Free unless you are in, I don't know, Alaska or further north, where it truly is going to freeze. The CLP will work for you. And I guess say sometimes in the lower 48 down here, if it's 80 below zero, I don't have a lot of experience there, but you need the special oil that it won't freeze and gum up. But other than that, if it's not going to be below 20 below zero or below zero at all, the CLP will work awesome. So you just need something to be able to use as a solvent when your rifle gets really dirty to clean up. That's what that brush is for, and you can clean off all the gunk. And then you're going to need something, you got a rag on there, and just wipe down the outside of the rifle with a drop or two of that CLP to keep it from rusting for you. And then you can use a drop or two of that CLP to keep the parts that are supposed to be moving. The old
moving. That's a good thing.
Yeah, WD-40 trick, where it's supposed to move.
Yeah. And we're going to go into gun cleaning big time on another episode. So if all the listeners that are like, oh, how do I do this? How do I do this? Just keep staying tuned, and we're going to get there later on in the season. But, Ben, one thing that I find simply amazing is how many, everybody has, I even have what you need in your go bag, right? What you should put in your go bag. And of course, it's individualized. And so everybody kind of has to take these lists and choose what they find most, relevant. But a cleaning kit for your rifle or your pistol is almost never included in that list. And that to me is a major error.
Well,
and clothes.
Yeah, it depends on what kind of go bag you got. If you're talking a 3-day bag, we keep the 3-day kit in our car. We keep the 3-day kit somewhere. The only thing I have in a 3-day kit is a little bit of CLP and a rag. I'm not really worried about too much stuff. In 3 days, you'll probably be okay. And I say probably, but you can only carry so much stuff if you're going for 3 days. And that's food and water too on your 3 days. If you need more, now you got to really drill down on what you can carry, because those packs get heavy fast. Straight up from the...
I know. Mine's like the forever kit. So I plan on walking out the door and never coming back. And so I try to really concentrate. Everything has to have at least 3 uses that goes in that bag, because it's just, like you say, it gets so heavy so fast.
And that's without food and water generally, because you can't carry water and food forever. Yep. You got to be able to procure it.
I just stock the life straws and, the filters and things like that, and hope that I'm going to find sources along the way.
Oh, yeah. You just got to make it happen because you can't carry enough water to
I know.
survive. There's no way. I mean,
Exactly.
I carry in my car as a case of 16 ounce Nalgene bottles, but that thing weighs, that's almost a gallon and a half. So that thing weighs like 15 pounds. It's really not.
Yeah, there is no way.
So I got that from another survivalist old trick. Instead of I used to keep a gallon of water, tucked in there behind my seat so I could use it if I had to. And then he goes, no, I keep a case of these little water bottles. That's the way I could spread load it. I could take what I need. I could spread load it to other people. And I was like, that's a stinking genius. And they're like $2.50 down at the local Walmart to get a case of 32 bottles. I was like, son of a gun. So now you'll never catch my vehicle without a case of water sitting back there. And it just works.
See, I'm always training so much that I have like half-drank ones like all over my car. I'm like, that would be it, man. Like my half-drank water bottles in there. I just scrounge them up together.
Yeah,
like the recycle center. Yeah.
It's awesome. So I think everybody gets a cleaning kit and puts it in their kit for next time.
Yes, it's so important to have. And a lot of people just overlook that step. And that's why I was like, nope, we're going to focus a lot in on gun cleaning later on. But I wanted to bring it to light now just so people like start thinking about, oh, yeah, I need to actually put that in the go bag and have that ready to go. Have one that I'm using and have one that's saved for that purpose specifically. Well, thank you for your time on the rifle topic. I hoped it helped everybody out, but I think that we're all, I know personally that I'm definitely pushing towards the AR at this point because I just want a longer range weapon.
And I agree. Once you learn that system, you'll learn why the military stays with it for, it's been 50 years now, but it works great.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Ben, for coming on the show and spending your time with us. I really appreciate it. And I know that all the listeners out there do as well. So once again, thank you so much. And you know what it really boils down to is you have to choose the rifle that's best for you. If you know that rifle inside and out and you know how to shoot it, well, then that's the best rifle for you. And if you don't know anything about rifles, then this podcast provides some great suggestions on the ones you want to take a look at and start to learn. So now I want to take a look at a blog that I did, but it's right along the same topic. And this is called Racking the Slide, Survival Pin of the Month. I first wrote this blog in 2015. And at that time, 2 FBI background checks were being done every second on Black Friday of that year. So personally, I highly support the American right to own a firearm. And I recommend that you have one to protect yourself and your family. But a tool is not worth much if you don't know how to use it. And a gun is just that, a tool. You must know how to use it and be familiar with it. In other words, don't wait until your tire is flat to learn how to use your jack. It is too late. You need the tool now, and you never took the time to learn about it. So everybody that was out there buying guns, my biggest suggestion would be make sure you know how to use that thing. Make sure you know how to put in and out the magazines. Make sure you know what a magazine is. Make sure you know where the safety is, if it has a safety, if it doesn't. And, most gun dealers are going to provide that information to you when you buy it. So a gun is definitely a little bit more complicated than just pulling the trigger. First and foremost, you have to know the safety rules. And those rules need to be applied 100% of the time, whether that gun is loaded or not. You always assume that it is, and those safety rules have to be maintained 100% of the time. You're not going to carry around something that's explosive or mix chemicals together that are toxic or do something like that. You have to follow those safety rules, and it is the exact same way with the gun. You have to know how to hold it properly. You have to know how to load the magazine and how to rack the slide. You have to know how to aim it, how to handle the recoil, how to handle yourself in a hostage situation, most importantly of all. You need to have awareness of your weapon at all times to prevent an accidental injury. And with so much to learn, it can be a little off-putting and sound like a lot of work. And honestly, you know what? It is. But it's something you must do if you want to feel comfortable protecting yourself and your family. So, having a gun on you and carrying a gun around is a great idea. But it is of no benefit to you if you don't feel comfortable pulling that firearm to protect yourself. It is also no benefit to you if you can't control your temper and you pull that gun in a case when it should not have been pulled. And we've seen a lot of stories in the news about this recently, and it puts a bad light on all concealed carry individuals, because you can't just take out your gun when you're feeling angry. You have to truly save that and have that as the absolute fallback if your life depended on it. So the reason that I picked this pin as my pin of the month this month was not only because it was a great article from the wellarmedwoman.com about using technique rather than strength to rack the gun, which this can be a big challenge for some ladies, older folks, and smaller men. So this article also gives an excellent rundown of how the energy from the first bullet works and how you can rack that gun easily and what calibers may be best for you. But more than that, I wanted to draw attention to the Well Armed Woman organization. It's a great organization to be a part of if you're a female. Going to a gun range that's full of male testosterone can be a little intimidating. This organization is all about females getting together with other females with trained female instructors to learn how to handle firearms in a safe environment without pressure of having to feel macho or stand up against these men that might be there. So I have members of my family that are part of this organization, and I never hear anything but good things about it. So this is for you ladies. Find out where your local chapter meets and get out there and practice. So a couple of really important things that were highlighted in this article by the wellarmedwoman.com, and you can reach it from my blog link. The fact that sometimes you don't need strength to rack that gun. You know, as long as you have proper technique, you can get the job done. Even though it might seem big and bulky and intimidating, you can still do it with proper technique. So that's a really important thing to highlight. But then, as I mentioned again, you know, this is just a great organization for women to go and feel comfortable in a setting using their firearm. So another organization that I really wanted to highlight when I did this project is Project Appleseed. This is a group which gets together to honor rifle shooting. They instruct about the profound history of rifles in the United States and teach multiple positions in shooting your rifle on the range. There is a meeting by you, and it's inexpensive to get your family out there for the weekend. This is an inexpensive way to get your family outdoors for the weekend shooting together. You can make it a family event and get some more rifle practice in. So what's better than shooting with the family? Not much to me. The bottom line here is support your right to bear arms, but don't just buy a gun. Train to shoot the gun so it can be a reliable tool if you need it. So there you go. That's my spiel on not only owning a firearm, but being proficient, knowing your gun, getting out and making it an event to go and shoot with other people in a comfortable setting where you're going to get some really great rewards and have a really great experience and probably make a whole lot of new friends while you're at it. Great show today. We heard chapter 14 of The Walls of Freedom, and, never much downtime for the Moore family. I like to keep the book scooting along, so we'll continue to do that next week. We heard from Ben Branam on choosing your perfect survival rifle, which I already have a couple in mind, but I'm always looking for one or two more. I'm not going to lie. And then, I gave us some great resources on where you can go out and start shooting your guns responsibly, being a responsible gun owner, and making some great friends and having some great family memories while you're at it. That's both the wellarmedwoman.com and Project Appleseed. So go ahead on out there and check those two projects out. Well worth your time. And remember, until next time, dream, survive, thrive.
Thank you for joining Sara for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster, Without Land, and The Walls of Freedom at www.author.sarafhathaway.com. If you love this podcast, please head on over to iTunes or Amazon.com and let everyone know by leaving a review.